it just keeps getting better by the day as we have some amazing Habs updates. The first, Alexander Zharovsky, our top pick from this last year's draft, puts up a nice assist playing a surprising position 3C in his KHL preseason debut, but it's not just that. We got to dive into some very interesting takes on Patrik Laine from a certain article and the Montreal Canadiens power play and how it's poised to be the best we've seen in a long time. The boys are also back working in Brassard as Demidov taking some shots, working on his shots. Laine standing out in scrimmages. There is so much we got to get into, all coming up on this live episode of Habs Digest. Look at Laine there, turning the corners. We got some great stuff coming up about him and more. Jesse, again, it just feels like it's a good vibes day. Things are getting better every single day, and I just can't wait for the season to start. But again, like, we got Bolduc coming soon. We got some great highlights, and it doesn't really get much better than that.
It really doesn't, especially when we're seeing Laine pulling the level of toe drags like he's doing right now, just breaking angles in the Brassard sessions here once again. Just so happy to have everyone here with us once again for a live. As we're inching our way closer to season, it's really getting there, and we're so happy to have all the crew with us here today. As you know, we break down as we're getting ready. We got some more amazing Russian prospects ready to join us. Really excited to break it down with you all here today, Josh.
Yep, super excited. And yeah, shout out to everyone in the chat. We got Norm, we got WL, we got Mark Quintal, Canadian Dude and Oz. So many wonderful people in chat. Let me just actually adjust this chat box here because it's not cropped properly. Because YouTube has been changing their overlays and stuff. So you know what? We gotta stay on top of that. And guess what? Boom, boom, boom. Now we're there. What's up? Everyone is excited to talk about what's coming next for the Montreal Canadiens. And you know what? Let's just start with the boys that are there now. And Frank, podcast okay, and Patu Info. I've linked Patu Info's profile down below because they're a great follow to get all of these clips from Brassard, and that's where we're getting a lot of them. But they were saying, like, you know, we got Joe Veleno there, we got Laine there, who's back from Finland, we got Demidov on the ice, we got Newhook, Carey, and Struble, all under Adam Nicholas, and they were doing some really nice drills today, some 3-on-3, some fun things, but also Patu Info said, you know, on their hand, they found that Patrik Laine is even more at ease today. He looks great on his skates, smooth on his skates. He's been doing a lot of, like, game speed exercises or game situation exercises. He's been doing a lot of great stuff, creativity, puck possession. We can see a lot of that in these clips, and we'll just let him roll. But again, Jesse, when we're looking at, like, what's to come for this upcoming season, I know there's some other Laine stuff. He's a pretty big subject today, I think, because of the hot takes we'll get into in just a minute, and we might even revisit those quotes we talked about in a video recently. But with Patrik Laine here, look at these passes too, right? The puck control game. I can't help but look at these guys, like, more and more guys showing up as we're getting closer to the season. We also got Zach Bolduc showing up soon. I mean, I know these Brassard runs are really, like, they're not full speed, they're not full intensity, but they mean a lot. And to see all these guys, like, there's not a day off for these guys, and I think that's what I love most about this.
And the boys are drilling out there, and that's when you know that they're really serious. And again, we are noticing the intensity, though, since we have been reporting on this daily. We're noticing when it starts to go up an increment right now, and especially with Patrik Laine, like, just seeing the intensity. Like, Josh, I'm not going to lie, like, I was a little bit surprised sometimes by the intensity here in the practice summers, and, like, some of the toe drags, like that playmaking that we're seeing from Patrik Laine right now is on another level. Like, we know him always as a shooter, but if we watch a lot of these drills here a little bit in depth, it's like the way that he's able to set up other plays, like the toe drags, like his hands and what he's doing. Like, we don't normally think of Patrik Laine as a playmaker. He can absolutely do it. But again, very exciting the fact that both Demidov and Laine are practicing together, because there's another thing we've been noticing from Demidov, like his playmaking skills just being so fantastic. You then put a finisher like Laine out there, you know, as well. It's such a great combination. So we're hoping that they can play on that second line. Josh, I'm putting Bolduc there in the middle of them if we're not getting a 2C before the season begins. I just think those are the three players that probably deserve to be on that second line going forward here. But I mean, like, I love that we're just seeing the playmaking from Laine too, because Demidov can score as well. And we have another guy that's being creative, using his body to kind of protect the puck. Like, he was looking really smart, really creative out there. And we know if, like, just Laine is, we'll get into a little bit more, but, like, if he's having fun out there, if his heart's into it, the results are really going to come. And the skill is really showing. The fact that he's having fun even more, which is getting a lot of Habs fans just really exciting, thinking, like, what does that mean for next year.
Oh man, and again, the quotes that he had about how much he loves hockey, again, like there's so much going good for Laine. Like again, our Twitter page exploded with those Laine quotes because Habs fans are so invested with it. Like if you guys didn't see it, again, check us out on Twitter, but like thousand plus likes on these things because people are excited to see Patrik Laine come back. And again, Jesse, you mentioned the playmaking. Laine has been a good playmaker throughout his career. Like, it's not like he's one of these guys that got 30 goals and 12 assists. This dude was pretty equal with goals and assists for a lot of his career, right? So, like, he's a guy that absolutely can play make. Yeah, did he benefit from some good line mates? Yeah, because who doesn't, right? He was so skilled, he's naturally playing up the lineup. And so that argument that I've seen kind of falls flat for me. So I'm so excited. And again, there's so many other guys there. I want to get back to that in a second, but we do have our first super chat of the stream coming in from Caroline Chasson. $2. Thank you so much, Caroline. She says, I'm happy that you talk about Zharovsky because I can't wait to see him with Xhekaj and Demidov. It'll be crazy. What do you think? You know what? We're going to get to him a little bit later in the stream, but you know what? Why not start the hype now? Leave some Zharovsky love. Leave a big Z in the chat. Big Z, not Zdrunas Ilgauskas. Big Z is Alexander Zharovsky. Leave some Z's in the chat there for our boy because I'm excited to talk about him. Even though we'll go into the highlights a bit more in the stats a little later, Jesse, what I do love is that he's playing some center, but yeah, absolutely. I mean, this guy's already just proving that, like, I think we definitely made the right choice jumping up to grab him.
And rightfully so, because he's showing a whole lot of confidence early on in the preseason there in the KHL, which again is a great start considering how young this guy really is coming into the KHL right now. Still very young, tall, but not extremely thick, but he's making stuff happen. Like, this guy's ceiling right now is absolutely so huge of what he could potentially do. Josh, like, I needed my Russian prospects. I'm just so happy we got Zharovsky that we can really keep this going forward because we got a guy that's a first-round talent. And even a lot of experts had him in the late kind of first round. I think we were lucky to get him in the second because this guy is already turning heads, as Caroline really pointed to.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, we got some people in chat. I see Jacob there saying, look, he's a long shot. I don't know if I'd say a long shot, but I do understand the thing that, like, it's not an easy path, and he's coming from the MHL with some lower stats. Like, but the skill is absolutely there. So, yeah, he definitely has to prove himself, but there's a lot of really good signs, and I can't wait to see it. But, again, we'll get to him a little bit later. And before I move on to these hot takes, I just wanted to revisit the people that were at the ice on the ice again today, Jesse, and I just wanted to get some general thoughts from the chat and from yourself because there's a couple names that I feel like, you know, it's easy to focus in on Demidov and Laine because we see these guys as the future of the Habs. But when I see names like, I feel like ever since Joe Veleno came back to Montreal and he signed here, like again, his hometown team, I feel like I've seen him on the ice a lot. And I really appreciate that. And again, it's easier when you're from there, you live there, and you know, obviously that's fine. But a lot of these guys do live there. And Veleno is really making an impression on me. A guy like Alex Newhook too. Like Carrier and Struble, we know they're workhorses and it's awesome to see him. But Newhook and Veleno, I think that's maybe an underrated little duo there. And I love talking about Alex Newhook, as we all know. I think he very well could be the 3C this year, and maybe even Jake Evans the 4C. But Veleno has a lot to prove. So I just wanted to give a shout out to some of these guys that we don't really talk about as much because they are putting in just as much effort as our stars. And I think that is especially valuable for our bottom six if we do want these guys to improve and give that depth scoring that we kind of moved around some pieces to get.
For sure. And for a guy like Joe Veleno, getting some extra run during the summer is huge for me. He's looking to really kind of solidify himself as an NHLer. And it's really just good on the Montreal Canadiens that they're having these sessions where he can kind of get used to the team, build up that chemistry well before training camp. Like all of this, again, your preparation really matters so much here. So you can understand his motivation. But a guy like Alex Newhook, who is solidly an NHLer, you can feel that like his reason for doing it, right? It's like he's got all the talent in the world. We got some talented guys coming from the Rock, as I'm very much familiar with on a daily basis here. But I mean, like Newhook, he knows that he has the talent, but it's about like take it to that next level because we know what he's capable of. I've always liked this player, even before he came with the Habs, like a guy that has that type of effort, plays with that pace. Now it's just about kind of finishing it off once he gets there. The thing is, though, Josh, is that like we were actually relying on Alex Newhook pretty heavily, like for a while in terms of center depth.
Yeah.
Now the fact that we don't need to rely on him, he can just be one tool of many. For me, almost feels like that takes a little bit of pressure off of him, and he can probably start doing what he does best. We just probably had him in that wrong chair slightly, as I've been contending since last year. We put him on that third line, and I really think that Alex Newhook is better than most third line players in the NHL. It's going to be that sweet spot where he's really going to be able to feast going forward. So again, getting these reps, because we know that talent is there, just, that a little bit of that practice with that finishing right there, and maybe not being the only guy that has to do it anymore. I think for Newhook, we'll just get tremendous results. I'm really excited to see because he brings, again, a little bit of that edge. Even though he's not like this big physical guy, he plays the game with a purpose, which I think is so important. Obviously, we're looking to be a playoff type of team. So Alex Newhook is a type of guy I just want to see succeed so bad.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I love watching him play, and the dude's yoked as well. I mean, you see any pictures of him, like, the dude's not the biggest. He's like 5'10", 5'11", but he's jacked, and he's he's the fastest guy on the team, one of the fastest skaters in the NHL. So it's like, it's a crazy combo. And like Alex says in chat, like, if Newhook, he can become McDavid if he can put the puck in the net more often. And we saw those rushes, the end-to-end rushes of Alex Newhook, making it all the way to the net just to miss. But again, like, we've seen that crazy potential from him. That shortened season just a couple of years ago where he was on like a 50-point pace with like 47% on the dot as a full-time center. Like that, I feel like it's lost sometimes, and he is absolutely capable of getting back to there. So love that take on Newhook. I'm really excited to see what he can do this year. But I'm gonna take a moment and head into the chat here because we haven't really talked to a bunch of you chatters. Thank you all for being here. Of course, I want to take some channel members here and read some of the chats. We got let's go. Happy Monday, Matt Cantal. Can anyone see a scenario where the Habs can acquire a much needed power forward for Matheson and something? We'll get to that maybe in a second. I'll save that. Can you do the Nas? Good morning, Matt Cantal. Patrick's happy again. A lot of people projecting for, I think, is that Laine or Laine you're projecting? I think that's Laine Hudson, 8x8.5. I'd love that. Laine has his legs moving, which means only good things going forward, 25, 26. And Mark Cantal also agrees, Jesse, that Bolduc would be a good 2C if Dach's not ready. And I also see Alex saying, hey, I think we'll be surprised at how little Laine Hudson's contract is. He also says that if Zharovsky makes the team, that'll be 3 Alexes on the team, plus Alex in chat pointing it out. Pretty good. Want to revisit that idea, though, because we've been talking a lot about a 2C, Jesse. Do you see any world where Montreal makes a kind of trade for a power forward like suggested in the chat? I mean, look, I know Josh Anderson's not going to cut it long term. I don't necessarily see that move being as pressing, considering like Bolduc kind of plays a physical game. I don't know if I'd call him a power forward, but especially with Slafkovsky once again coming into his own, I think that next year Slav could be like a legit difference maker in terms of a power forward, and we still have Josh Anderson who fills that role for 2 years, plus some gritty guys. I don't see that as much of a need as maybe we thought it would be, but it does depend on the development of some guys. I definitely could see something like that coming in the future. Whether it's for Matheson, though, I'm not really sure.
I think the addition of Bolduc makes that a little bit less pressing. Great comment, though, because those are the type of players we love, and again, that kind of get you through the playoffs as well. That being said, it's like I wouldn't put like the 2C that we're looking for. Like I wouldn't classify like Ryan O'Reilly as a power forward per se, but he is still a forward that plays a physical game, plays a two-way game. So there is elements in that as well. And if we're looking at a guy that I think if we're looking, because if we didn't want a power forward or like somebody that played like a little bit more of a physical game in that 2C, we would have signed Marco Rossi a long time ago. Yeah. So to answer your question, like they're looking for a type of player absolutely that can fill in a physical type of role at the 2C, which for again with Nick Suzuki makes a lot of sense. We love Nick Suzuki. We know he's a 1C, but you want to get a little bit more of a physical guy potentially behind him for that reason, which is again why I just like Bolduc like so much. I just think the more you think about it, it's just you really understand how Kent Hughes knows what this team needed in and out. Yeah. And it really, I just feel is going to be a perfect fit in so many ways. So I feel like he does fit that mold, especially throwing around the body. I think you have to have a kind of an offensive element to your game to be truly classified as a power forward. I think Bolduc's got that as well. So it'll be interesting to see who we bring in at that 2C role potentially. I could see a vet in the very near future if McTavish doesn't kind of pan out there. Playing that physical role, I think makes just a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and again, like it could happen, and I still think there will be trades, whether for veterans or for longer term guys eventually. The question is just when, because again, a lot of teams, not just Montreal, are still going to be evaluating what works, what doesn't well into the season, right? So there's going to be time. Like, I think this team, I think they're happy, as they've said, they're pretty much happy going into the season with this roster. And hey, I mean, I'm pretty happy too. I mean, the bottom 6, like on paper, some people might say it doesn't look great. I think it looks amazing, right? Because Patrick Laine is theoretically maybe even in your bottom 6. Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher, perfect bottom 6 players. Alex Newhook, like you said, better than a lot of third liners in the league. I think some people will still sleep on the Montreal Canadiens this year, but fantastic point. I agree, but hey, I still think some interesting trades will be coming. But you know what? I want to get into like this season and what this team will look like on paper, because we're looking at it now, and there are some very interesting avenues to go down, a bunch of different branches we can go down. We've talked a lot about the defense. The goaltending, I think, is still going to be very underrated, but what I want to focus on is a couple of very interesting hot takes that was posted by William Boulger. The article is linked down below. Please go check it out, because there was another hot take in there that we're not going to touch on. You got to go check out the original article. Not affiliated, just like to promote when we find some good articles. But before we get into that, I just want to ask the people to simply click the like button on the stream. That's it, just one click. We got over 200 of you in here. If we could get that to 50, that would be amazing. Just 20 of you. One click pushes us out to other Habs fans. Bring them in here. Chat with them. We got an unbelievable chat going over there right now. People chatting with each other. That's what we absolutely love to see. So if you want to see more of that, just click that like button. Let's move on, Jesse. And excuse me, I want to get into this here. So William Boulger, 3 bold Montreal Canadiens predictions for 25-26. And I love this, right? I love bold predictions. Hey, maybe we could make some of our own in a different video. That could be a very interesting idea. But, you know, there are some interesting things in here. The first one, I really like this because we're continuing on this Patrick Laine train. And actually, before we do it, I'm going to send, for all you channel members there, we got that Laine emoji. Send it in the chat. I want to see it filled with those Laine emojis from our channel members. But the first one, Patrick Laine is back to his 40-goal form. When the Canadiens acquired Laine, it was a gamble. Really cool teaser clip from the second season of the rebuild on Crave. They released one about that Laine trade. So cool. 2016 second overall pick. Look, he's shown flashes of brilliance. Oh my goodness. Including multiple 30-plus seasons, but consistency and health. There's been a lot of what-ifs. But again, Jesse, we talked about these quotes. He almost quit hockey, but now he's gotten to the point that he's enjoying life in hockey again. He's got a full off season of rehab. There's no question marks about fitness and readiness. 40 goals is absolutely bold, but that's what this is. This is a bold takes segment, and I think when it comes to bold takes, that is one of the ones that I would absolutely love to see, and I think is actually quite realistic.
For sure. And the reasons why I would say is if we're just looking at his production from last year, again, 20 goals in 52 games, that's a 0.38 points goals per game ratio that he's working on. So if we prorate that over 82 games, he's at 31 goals over an 82 season. We know staying healthy is going to be the main thing for Laine, but if he can stay healthy, I think that he can hit 38 to 42 goals very easily within that range. And what that means for the Montreal Canadiens, you have to feel, again, that's probably an indicator of them being a playoff team in and of itself. But really, if we look at the factors like Laine being healthier than ever coming into this, the increased intensity in practice, moving his feet, as really some of our viewers are saying, such a great point. That is the big one for him, is that getting that prep ahead of time, those good vibes, that training. He wasn't training like he was this time last year. I feel like that's going to have effects. When we put playing with Demidov, that's another factor in all of this. The team really kind of getting better, I think, is a huge part of this as well. But we have to say also the fact of it being a contract year probably factors into all of this. Like if we take all of that, the health, Demidov, the team just getting better, 2 power play units that are going to feast that we're going to get into in just a minute and why. I really see a world where, like, yeah, could under all those circumstances, could a guy like Laine, who at any game could pop off for 2-3 goals, you know, manage to maybe get 7 more goals over the course of the season, playing a full season? Yeah, absolutely going forward. The big thing him is really starting off hot. And but I feel like I'm seeing Demidov kind of motivate him in certain ways, and like, you know, kind of like Demidov's working on his shot from Demidov, and then like Laine's working on his playmaking from the influence from Demi. Like they're both influence each other. Laine shots influencing Demi, working on his one-timers, vice versa. So I'm just loving the bromance, and that's why I want to keep them on a line here together. Again, where if Dach's not ready to go, I think Bolduc would just be amazing. Like, what's stopping this guy from playing 2C? He plays a complete game there. So I would just like really love to see them on both sides. I think they'd be incredibly dynamic together, Josh.
I'm so excited. And, you know, like, I've been saying this so much, especially since that Finnish interview, because Laine is one of those guys that, like, he was a big catalyst for Montreal making the playoffs last year. We say it a lot. And yes, there are gripes to be had with his play, for sure. And we're not denying that. But when he was on, especially in those games last year, he won us a number of games, right? Like without him, we're probably not winning these close games. We had some of the most one-goal games in the league this year. So like if he can get going, that's huge. But I think there's the caveats, as I saw someone in chat say, like, look, if he's on the fourth line, it's not going to happen. But I don't think he's going to be on the fourth line. If he's playing top 6 minutes and not playing that like 13, 14 minutes a night, it's more likely. If it's just 13, 14 minutes, it's going to have to heavily rely on the power play, which though, again, Montreal's power play is looking very poised to do something good. But look, before we get into the power play, I do want to shout out another super chat coming in from Snowing HD, simply saying, Laine hitting 40 goals. You know what? I like it. Again, it's a hot take, and I understand that, like, hot takes are meant to be somewhat unlikely, but possible. And that's what we love. Like, you could see a world, but it's maybe not the most likely. That's what I love about this. Are we guaranteeing 40? No, I don't think. I think it'd be tough to guarantee 40. Goals got to go around. We got Demidov, we got Suzuki. Suzuki's a 30-35 goal scorer. Caufield's a 35-40 goal scorer, right? So we got all these guys. The puck got to move around, but it's very possible. I also saw someone who was in their first ever live stream. I want to go back and see if I can find that again. I think it was Sock or Sach, longtime Habs Digest fan, first time live stream. You were fun. Just wanted to shout you out because when we see that, that's what I love to see, Jesse. We're reaching new people every day. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate you being here. Mark Quintal saying Laine will get 75 points this season. I saw Alex saying, look, if Laine gets 40 goals, like, we are cooking. Who's going to stop us, Jesse? If Patrick Laine is even on pace for like 35, if Laine and Caufield are both on pace for 35 goals, and you just let Suzuki and Demi and Dach and Hudson do their own thing, like, how do you, like, that's one of the more scary offensive teams in the league, I would have to say. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but I don't think it is.
It really isn't. And shout out to Mark Quintal. We see you in the chat all the time. Appreciate you. Yeah, Patrick Laine getting his swagger back, which is really so big. Just having fun because once he has that confidence, that big frame, that's why the toe drags work so well for this guy. This guy's huge. He works such a long streak that toe drag is going, it feels like sometimes a quarter of the ice surface just itself. Obviously, we're kidding, but like this is a guy that can just really protect the puck. And you have that big body, and he starts actually using that frame a little bit more to protect the puck. Like, he can play some mighty good keep away where if he doesn't want you to get the puck, he can really keep it away here. Like, I've been a little bit impressed with anywhere from Laine. I wasn't even expecting to see him like in drills. Like, this seems to completely go against his MO and everything that we know. Like, oh, he doesn't put in the work in. He seems to be changing that narrative this summer. We're seeing him in camp. He's really doing that work ahead of time and really just embracing what it is to be a part of this team. And that's one of the most important things. Like, when you guys got guys like Laine buying in, who maybe were a little bit more kind of like a laissez-faire attitude before and now really buying in, that's what takes your team to that next level. In fact, you need your best players being really invested in the game and the team in this way if Kent Hughes really wants to bring this team where he wants to go.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like, Laine is one of our best players. Like, some people might not like to hear it, but it is kind of true. Like, this dude is a 40-goal scorer in the NHL, and it's crazy to say that, especially since we still have a second-round pick coming up from that trade. Nuts that happened the way it did. But we also have another super chat coming in from Snowy HD. Thank you so much, Snowy. Really, really appreciate you showing the support in the chat today. Unbelievable. He says, who do you guys think will have a surprise season? And you know what? I really like that question, and it actually, I think, works well with how we're going to talk about, I think, the power play soon. But surprise season is it's tough to say because, like, I feel like so many guys, Jesse, like, I'm looking at the team and who would surprise me if they did great, right? Or what would a surprise be for these guys? Like, what is a surprise for Nick Suzuki, for example? Is a surprise 110 points? Yeah, I would say so. Do I think that's likely? Maybe not. I think that when I look through this lineup, to me, there's two guys that stand out as being like surprises because I think Laine is going to be good. I don't know if it'd be a surprise if he got back to like 30-35 goal scoring. I think it would be a surprise if Kirby Dach shows flashes of the way he did a couple of years ago when he was playing a bit of first line. If Kirby Dach is on like a 55-60 point pace, I think that would constitute as surprising, and that would be my pick because I still have faith in Kirby Dach. I know he might not be fully healthy for, like, you know, the very start of the season, but I don't know what it is. I feel like I can't get away from thinking Kirby Dach is going to be good. So that's going to be my guess because I'm hopeful too. I mean, but there's so many guys you could pick, even on like the D core too, right? Like, who's someone that you had in mind?
Well, and again, if we're looking at like the law of averages, Kirby Dach is set for a bounce back. You're just statistically speaking, all the bad luck that you have, like the law of averages. Like, this is going to balance out at some point. You have to feel for Kirby Dach. It's just, the question is really the health. Will he be able to stay there, not just this year, but going forward? If he can, I think he can be a solid player. I love that take. We're hoping that. Again, I'm going to go to Alex Newhook for this, just because him being in that right position, I could see him doing a lot better than we expect. Like, maybe even getting around the 17-20 type goal range while still playing really consistent hockey. Think Brendan Gallagher, just a lot quicker at this point. That's what I want from Alex Newhook going forward. Again, just being tenacious, all over the ice, playing with a little bit of piss and vinegar, which I think is just so good for this team of what we really need going forward here. I've just waited for Alex Newhook to be in that right position. I just kept saying, like, if we get him, and again, we're going to take the credit if he comes this year and he starts balling out, because we've been saying, like, this is a guy with talent. He just needs to be put in the right place, and it's normal. This team's kind of developing. We're in flux, but now as you're kind of having that evolution and people are finding their proper spots, expect for them to really flourish as a result. Alex Newhook, I can definitely see definitely benefiting so much from just the evolution and increased depth in this team.
Yeah, for sure. And it depends on his line mates too, which I'm really like. That's one of the weirder ones. Like, who is going to play his wing? Like, that's one of the bigger questions, I think. And it's not like a pressing question, but like, when you look at the lineup, I'm like, well, who's playing with Newhook? Is it going to be Gallagher and Anderson? I feel like Evans works better with Gallagher and Anderson just because of how well Dvorak, Gallagher, and Anderson worked down the stretch. Like, I feel like Evans is just a very natural replacement there. But then I don't want, like, Newhook on, like, the fourth line. Could it be, like, Newhook, Bolduc, Laine? Like, is that something? That's a bit weird. I feel like Newhook's almost too fast for them. Like, Newhook, Laine sounds good, but when we saw it a little bit, it didn't really click because they play at different speeds, right? So it's like, I don't know. Like, it's going to be very interesting, but a fantastic question. Fantastic question. Oh my goodness. Another donation from Snowing HD. Another super chat coming in. Oh, just rolling in with the super chats. Thank you so much. Just simply said, Newhook just needs to work on his finish. And you know what, Jesse? I mean, this is, hey, what better way to work on your finish than playing with Patrick Laine, a guy from Finland? I mean, I feel like that just makes so much sense. But yeah, I don't know. I think there is a pretty sincere question about who he's going to play with, but we could talk about Newhook all day long, but yeah, I think that the opportunity should probably be there, and I do think he will surprise some people.
For sure. And again, the way that he might surprise us, his bread and butter, again, is going end to end, like with the puck. Alex, we see you with the Connor McDavid reference for sure. And I just feel like he can pull off that move a lot better when he's going to be playing against kind of lower D pairings, lesser lines. Like, that's where he can get away with those type of moves. And like, he'll actually pull that off and he'll capitalize on it going forward. I just think there's so much to like about his game for so long. And like, that talent is there, but you just put that into that better, kind of seat for him, and really it's just all going to shine through. Speaking of Newhook, I could see a world where he plays with Dach. Again, I think Dach, if Bolduc is on that second line with Laine and Demidov, I think you have a third line of Newhook, Evans, and potentially Dach, where you're having like three guys play center, and potentially there going forward. Probably not Evans. You probably want to have him on the line with Gallagher and Anderson at that point. But okay, so Newhook, Dach, and then Beck. But we're getting to three centers. Again, one way or another, Kaiden can kind of be that. I think they'll both see some time there on that line. It's interesting, though. Like, I'll probably call, like, Anderson, Gallagher, and Evans. Like, I would feel more comfortable calling that the fourth line, even though the third and fourth will probably get equal amount here going forward. But again, like, Newhook paired with Dach, and then you get somebody like Beck, who's got some offense and obviously some defense to his game. Like, I like those elements on a third line, again, if it pans out, because it's, we got some players with some potential there for sure.
I like that. I think it's great. You know what? I could see someone like, you say Beck, maybe I say Kaiden, because this guy that's played some bottom 6 minutes for the Habs already. It's interesting. It's an interesting idea. I kind of like that. It's a bit of a spicy take in and of itself. But thank you to Snowing HD for these great questions, these great points. I want to read into some chat. Just so proud of the Newhook animation. Thank you very much. We got Frank Day. Hey guys, been a while. It has been a while. Good to see you back here. Alex saying if Suzuki at 115, I'd be surprised. guys, but for Alex, it's also Dach. If he pops off, has 55 to 60 point season, I'll bang on with what I said, Alex. Like that's a pretty good take there. Bake Apple Jam, one of my favorite usernames in the entire chat, hits home. Dobson 50 points. That's actually a good question. I also see Canadian doing an saying the Habs.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
That was a good one.
So 2 seasons ago, Habs were losing 1-goal games. Last season, they won those in large part due to Laine on the PP. Laine might be on the second line to start the season. I love that you're acknowledging that because I feel like people just throw that out the door. We do have another super chat. I'll get to you, Mark Quintal, in just a moment. I promise. But I want to talk about Noah Dobson real quick because I was about to say this and I'm glad it was in the chat. What would constitute a surprising season for Noah Dobson, a guy who has a 70-point season? Would 50 points be surprising? I think Dobson could easily get over 60 this year in the right situation, and I think that would surprise at least Islanders fans. And hey, that's all I'm hoping for.
Exactly. And I would be so happy if he got anywhere from the 55 to 65 range. Again, with Hudson, it's easy to forget like how good he is and that kind of meteoric effect that he just has on everybody else of really just feasting on the PP1. Like Dobson isn't going to need to do as much offensively to still benefit. And he could even, playing a little bit more of a defensive role in some type of situations just for the Habs as a whole, like what would benefit the team the most is absolutely that. Now, of course, Noah Dobson, he's still going to get offense. He's still going to get points. He just doesn't need to be the guy to really do that going forward. So Hudson, I'm seeing him, anywhere. I'm seeing him probably crack that 70, 75 easily range. And for Dobson, I could very easily see him in that 55 to 65. Again, for him, he's due for a bounce back. If we look at his stats, where the kind of bounce back to used to what he's kind of used to getting, starting to come into his prime, I think just statistically speaking, he is right prime for a breakout here going forward. We got him right at the perfect time. Again, putting him in a great surrounding in that whole environment, I think is so important with the context. There's a reason why he wanted to come here. He felt like he will have success playing here, and I think we're about to see that in short order, Josh.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait to see it. I think re-break. Is that what you can even call it? Like the dude, like he's just like Renaissance. He's Renaissance. There you go. He's in the prime position to do that. That could be an interesting thing, like Dobson, a Renaissance painting. Anyway, maybe for the future. But we got to get to a couple of super chats here. Mark Quintal with the $5 donation. Thank you so much, Mark. You've been showing up so much in the streams lately. Really appreciate you. Very interesting one as well, and I can see it. Newhook, Dach, Anderson. Now, this is interesting because I feel like we've seen Newhook and Anderson before. We have. And it's two guys that for a while we said they work so well together. They had great metrics together, great underlying numbers, and they both play fast. Newhook is a bit more skilled, a bit faster. Anderson's a bit more physical, can definitely score goals as well. Don't forget, Anderson's a former 20-goal scorer a couple times. So Newhook, Dach, and Anderson, it's interesting because it's two big guys, two big right-hand shot guys, and then the speedy Alex Newhook, but they all have good offensive and decent defensive upside. I don't mind that trio, Jesse. Like, I feel like I'd be annoyed as hell if I was playing against that as the other team.
For sure. And again, everybody had some potential to score. I think it might be a little bit lack of the finishing ability there with Anderson, Newhook. They kind of sometimes have that same issue. They get to the front of the net and not being able to finish it off. Dach, a little bit of that same story, but I think probably not so much a question of finishing, but just a little bit of bad luck there. But I like the constitution and the fact that you got two very big guys in Anderson and then Dach paired with Newhook. I think you do want to have that on your lines. It is right to think about that as well going forward. I don't know. There's just something about that Gallagher-Anderson combo that I love just so much in the playoffs. But that being said, it's like Gallagher and Anderson have both showed they can score. Like, they're not just like mute pieces on this team. Like, they can actually Gallagher was impressive in a lot of ways. He's not getting enough respect for how much he helped the team and scoring some big goals too. So really up and down this lineup, like there's guys that can really make things happen. Again, we had that depth for a long time, which makes our third and fourth lines. I agree with you, Josh. I think they look really good, especially considering like the goal scoring, but also like a guy like Anderson, he's playing really a complete game, like Gallagher too. Like, there's bringing a lot to the table in terms of hockey value, but like the depth was there. And I'm talking about like 5-6 years ago. The Montreal Canadiens were still a fairly deep team then, even before the rebuild. The issue was always just that top end talent. How could we get this? And we were trying trades, grasping at straws, and like we finally had it. Now I'm very excited when you have that depth. And again, so many prospects that just bring value being NHL players. Like, the floor for the Montreal Canadiens is extremely high, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. Now they just needed to raise that ceiling somehow through very good luck, we had Demidov fall to us. Hudson ends up being a revelation out of nowhere. And now that takes a team that has a lot of depth, adds like those little cherries on top, which we absolutely need it. We were completely lost in translation. Without it, it would have been so hard. We just would have been at that same point, stagnating, not quite able to get over the top. Now we got the guys like Demidov and Hudson, Suzuki, Caufield. We can't forget about them, of course, but that like helped you take advantage of all the groundwork. Like, you know, that like the guys like Anderson, Gallagher, kind of like carrying the piano. Like now we'll be able to actually do something with all that great depth that we have throughout the lineup. And again, that's what's getting me really excited. And I think we're only right for kind of tooting the Habs horn and really the roster construction right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's been unbelievable. And you're absolutely right. It's just all it's doing is opening up opportunities for so many other players. And the fact that we can have these discussions about these bottom six things, like the first line might not change, but maybe it will. Like there's so many discussions to be had because there are so many talented players. And I feel like you look at this, you're like, well, I don't want to put them on the fourth line. And the fact that we're saying that with so many players is like crazy, right? So we have so many talented guys, so many opportunities. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be unreal to see. We got to get back to the chat. We had some other people submitting their lineups as well, including Frank Thibault. He said there was a typo. I'm not sure what it's supposed to say. It's a Bolduc Supron Use player. One of the words is not right, but it doesn't matter. I get it. Yeah, that's it. He said Laine, Bolduc, Demidov. And you know what? I think that's pretty much what you suggested exactly, right, Jesse? And I think that second line, like, again, provided Bolduc can prove that he's a center, which, again, yet to be seen. He hasn't played center since, like, earlier in his junior career. Like, his better years, we didn't play much of it. But it doesn't mean he can't do it. And you really never know. I mean, what better time to start than now? And I think that is one of those lines. If it works, if it comes together and we see that on the ice, like it's a bit of like what if, because it's like Demidov who's coming into his rookie season, Bolduc who's coming into his second year, and Laine coming into his first healthy year in a long time. So it's kind of the mystery line, but like if everything clicks with that line, that would be absolutely nasty.
Well, because you got Bolduc that's really bringing the effort, 200 feet, but then can chip in offensively, kind of playing that Slaf role of like that disruptor on the ice, getting loose pucks, creating turnovers, for his teammates there. And then obviously once you created that havoc, you just got the playmaking prowess of Demidov, Laine, really interchangeable of who could finish there going forward. I see some magic. If like that does work well and Laine and Demidov have that chemistry, can we just envision for a second what they can do on the ice with that level of skill? Because I think like even right, like last year, Laine was held back by sometimes of like not having players to his level of creativity out there on the ice. That will totally not be an issue now with Hudson. I made the same point even with Demidov. Like I made the same point with Hudson rather, that it's like sometimes he was limited at first because other players didn't quite know how creative, how good he was out there. It took a moment for actually the rest of the team to adjust. And it wasn't so much Hudson getting better, but the team around him really knowing what to expect. And that's what I could see with Laine. As a result, it's just, again, such a great balance where you need the skill on that second line, but it's really nothing without that physicality, which you also need. Demidov, it's like, Laine, he's kind of on the farther end of the spectrum. He's going to be that skill guy. Demidov, it's like, obviously, we're not expecting him to be a four-checking machine. Yeah. A little bit more, on the other side. But, you got Bolduc to kind of really bridge that gap going forward. For me, I don't think there's no reason why he can't really play center going forward. If it does work, I think it could be tremendous. That's more of a backup plan if you're not getting the 2C, but it's hard to say that it wasn't part of Kent Hughes' plan if they didn't get the 2C, that they have a really solid backup plan, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good backup plans. Like, again, like Newhook is like a C plan, like if he really needs to like step in.
Yeah.
Dach is one of these plans, Bolduc's one of these plans, and if you dig deep down, you go down the iceberg, it's like, Demidov or Slafkovsky, you start wondering, right? So there's so many ideas there, but absolutely great take. And we got so many more things coming in the chat. We got Zachary joining the Hat Trick Tier membership. Hey, if you're part of the Hat Trick Tier, fantasy hockey is going to be starting up not too long from now, and Hat Trick members get that priority entry. So thank you, Zachary, just saying friggin' go Habs go, man. That's how I'm feeling, Jesse. Thank you, Zachary. He said so stoked for this upcoming season. So are we, Jesse. Always so great to see fans showing up, just showing that love. We're in mid-August, and I feel like the love for this team has, well, I don't want to say never been higher, but you're really starting to feel it hit that next gear as we're shifting into September.
Everybody's excited, right? Like seeing what's going on right now. Of course, we're almost jealous. We're seeing some others, the European League starting right now in their preseason. We're like, we want to play it right now. We want to get to that. But obviously the boys are putting in tremendous work, but just so amazing to see our community growing, and just obviously we get to know you guys over time and get to build that relate, which is just so much fun for us as well, so we truly appreciate the community, and what this Habs team is really building. That's the main reason, and now we just get to enjoy it as a community together, which is so great.
Absolutely. And hey, speaking of building, we got another super chat from Snowing HD coming in hot today. Snowing, thank you so much. Again, another $2. Are you guys hyped for season 2 of the rebuild? But yeah, absolutely. And Zachary saying he just rewatched season 1, and you know what, this is one of the best things coming out in 3 days. Jesse, I cannot wait to watch it. Like, this past season, I want to know what they got, like, footage wise. We already saw that teaser for the Laine trade, but this is gonna be like, it's gonna feel so good to watch this. Yeah, this is one of the things I'm more excited for. Hey, in August, what better time to get some great Habs content?
And we need it sometimes. It's like we get to see one side of the player, but that kind of that personal side, someone we don't get to see as much. And with these behind the scenes footage, we just get such a better understanding of not only the players, but the team as a whole, really. And that's what's getting us excited, because everything's just giving us good vibes. Everything that we're seeing for Patrik Laine is getting us excited. Despite what all the haters kind of say, there is so many good indicators about his attitude, about how he's approaching his time in Montreal, about how thankful he is for fans like we have here, and what that's been able to do to reinvigorate his career. Like, you guys, the fans like that we have for the Montreal, he's the reason why he's out on the ice mid-August out in Brassard right now. It's really because he wants to do right by you guys. He wants to have fun playing hockey again. He found a fun place to do that, and really the great hockey that we're seeing, it's more just a result of the good vibes, which come from the fans, first and foremost.
Oh yeah, the good vibes just keep rolling. We have another super chat coming in from Ethan. Ethan, great to see you. Ethan Mods, one of our long time and biggest supporters. $5, just simply saying, hey everyone. Hey Ethan, how's it going, man? Again, this is what I'm talking about, Jesse. Like, everyone's just excited to get into this Habs season, into the hype. So thank you again, Ethan. And Jesse, I feel like this past segment here, people have just been so hyped, so excited to share their thoughts on the Habs. We still haven't even gotten into the second hot take. We got an important power play discussion coming up here.
Well, it's true, but we got to give our fans their due, because Ethan, if you have the pleasure of ever getting to meet, he's an awesome person, great hockey mind, just super chill, down to earth, great guy. We really appreciate the support that we're getting left, right, and center right now. But I mean, there's a reason to be excited about this team. Like, we waited for, like, we have some fans that they've been with the Montreal Canadiens, supporting them for 40 plus years, and they're saying, like, I've never been so excited as I am right now. And like, we're right to, like, how lucky were we to get Ivan Demidov?
Oh yeah. Crazy.
There was no way in that draft that we should have. If that gets redrafted tomorrow, it's like there's no way. Like, Demidov is going second, possibly first. Like, we got tremendously lucky. And without Demidov, we're not as excited. Like, it's for a reason. It's because we got the right players at the right spot. Is it completely all the way done? No, but that's kind of the fun part, because we get to witness these final kind of building blocks. Say, okay, we were there. We saw this when this happened. We thought of, okay, what are the next steps to kind of pull? And Kent Hughes, right on the money. He did it again, so there's really just so much to be excited about. Like, not just but now, but for years. And I salute our fans for getting on the bandwagon, like, well ahead of, these isn't bandwagon, it's like, but just being a fan of the team so much ahead of time, not waiting until they're back in their glory days. There's a lot to be said with the fans that were there from the beginning, through the rebuild, as we mentioned, through it. And that's what just makes you feel that much better when they come out the other side, knowing that, like our fans, that you were supporting them every step of the way.
I mean, so well said. Absolutely. It makes a huge difference for our guys. And yeah, like, it's just such a great environment right now. And yeah, we're like the pre-bandwagon. Like, if you want to jump on the Habs bandwagon now, hey, you can. There's still a bit of time before we run the Eastern Conference. Alex simply saying it was destiny that we got Demidov. Ethan saying, think of how lucky we were to get Hudson. Where would we be if we didn't have Hudson? And honestly, I think Demidov's a bit more luck. For like Chicago not taking him at 2, and then him just like Lindstrom going ahead, Seneca going ahead, and we're like, whoa. But Hudson was skilled. We scouted him, we saw him, we knew he was going to fall to us, and we took him. So, yes, I do understand there's a bit of luck that goes into that too, but luck and skill, they can go hand in hand. As we have another $2 donation from Snowing HD. My goodness, we're never going to get to the second power play, and I don't mind, because these are amazing messages here. Actually, we are going to get to the second power play, because Snowing HD says, hot take, Dobson should have a go at the second power play. Wow. Thank you. I could not have written that better, but more importantly, thank you for being such an incredible chat member today, Snowing HD, being so generous. Like, Unbelievable. Thank you. And you know what? This goes very well with the second hot take, and we're going to talk about Dobson here because I think that's a very good point. The other hot take is that the Habs power play cracks the top 10. That was William Bourget's other hot take. And again, link down below to check out the rest of the article. So for years, it's been a source of frustration, even with Suzuki and Caufield. Disorganized, predictable and ineffective is what I absolutely would say at the worst of times over the last couple of years. It still has felt like that on occasion, but last season showed signs of improvement, especially with Hudson quarterbacking. And then again in the playoffs, Jesse, when Ivan Demidov was out there, it added a whole different level to what this power play looked like. But when you're talking about our Habs power play this year, the fact that we have a possibility to run Demidov and Dobson on that second power play if Laine does go on that first power play, like that's what gets crazy to me, because our second power play is better than, like, I mean, maybe not better, but it's pretty close to our first power play from like 3 years ago, right? Like it's not that crazy because of just the sheer talent of guys like Demidov and Dobson. And so when I'm looking at these, I don't think it's crazy to say we're a top 10 power play, simply because both of our units legitimately look dangerous. And I know Dobson historically has not been great on the power play. I know it's a bit of a surprising thing, but his metrics are really not great on power play. He gets most of his points at even strength, which is even better news. But I really like the idea that we could have here. Not to mention, I think Demidov could still crack the first power play. Laine and Caufield, you can shift around these units and make it so that other teams don't even get a chance to breathe.
Well, that's just it. And I would maybe put Bolduc on that second unit, potentially over Matheson there. But again, like, we just have two units that are just going to absolutely thrive. Demi, there's a good world where he potentially, I don't see him coming right out of the gate on the PP1. I think probably for his own benefit, they'll make him earn it. He'll start off on PP2. A very strong chance in a world where Demidov takes over Slafkovsky on the first PP. Ooh. That being said, if Slav is going on to the second power play unit, I want him as a shooting threat. But that being said, like, the point remains, despite the schematics here, is that we're going to have two very good power play units, which again, Bolduc and Dobson play right into that. Mm-hmm. And if the Montreal Canadiens can be a top 10 power play team, they're not just going to make the playoffs. They're going to be a team, like, going into the playoffs that other teams are going to circle, like, watch out for. That's how big of a factor all of that is. Just because when you have that scoring potential where, you know, okay, if we take one penalty, they're not going to have one wave. They're going to have two waves. Again, that increases your probability of scoring dramatically when you have that second. Because before, our power play last year fell off a cliff. Even when it was good enough to help us get in the playoffs. But our PP2, we knew basically every time wasn't doing anything. From one year to another, huge shift going forward. Now adding Dobson, Bolduc, you know, either that Demidov or stuff. Right away, there's a lot of playmaking. There's a lot of scoring. But again, there's a lot of very complementary type of talent of guys that can set it up. Pure snipers, hybrids of both. Yep. You know what Suzuki and Demidov are. So you really have so many different guys that can play this going forward. And that's going to be one of those game-breaking things where just teams are going to be scared to take a penalty against the Montreal Canadiens next year, because there's going to be a really good chance that we're going to be putting that puck in the back of the net. I really expect to see it rise. But you know what the biggest factor in all of this, why? Like, if the Habs get top 10, it's because of Hudson. Yeah. Starting the year. Like, we know every game is so important. And even the fact that, like, Laine Hudson, by right, had the talent to start PP1 right from the beginning, the optics of that, of course you don't do it. You make them deserve it. But if you would have started Hudson at the beginning on PP1, you can't do his rookie, still needs to earn it. Still, though, that would have benefited the team. We still would have been higher up in the rankings. Like, the effect of having Hudson as your PP quarterback from game one, knowing how every game's important, every point matters, that's going to help to really start collecting those points early on, which is going to be so important for that early success for the Habs. I see that being a big factor in them getting a hotter start to this year than last year.
Yeah, 100%. And again, you can come out of the gate, and we have a lot of people sending in super chats for their power play thoughts, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But you have so many options with your first two waves, and there's not many teams where you could say, like, okay, if the second wave is hot, you send them out first. Like, the Habs the last few years, that's just not been a thing. Like, we actually, I would even say, overworked our first unit at times. Suzuki was pulling double shifts for like most of the year. And then and then the first unit was out there for a minute and a half because you almost didn't want to take them off. And again, that kind of sucks to say for the guys on PP2, but let's be honest, it wasn't that effective, right? But now, like, there's so many different names, and we're going to go to the chat here because we have so many people giving their thoughts on what the power play is going to look like. First off, though, super chat from Caroline Chasson. Again, power play should be killer next year. Absolutely. And 100%. Thank you so much again for the second super chat, Kathleen. Really, really appreciate it. Matt Quintal saying second PP. Dobson, Demidov, Newhook, Gallagher, Bolduc. Let's go Habs. And in that world, Mike Matheson's no longer on the PP2, which I don't think that's crazy. I don't think it's crazy to say that, you know? And that's another thing. Like, this is Puckpedia's things here because, again, I think it relies a lot on what we saw last year with the Habs, but, like, no Dach and no Bolduc. Like, Dach could be here, too. Like, this is another guy that could be there. But Gallagher was a 20-goal scorer this year, a couple of them on the power play. But Bolduc, he has to be on the power play somewhere. His shot there from the slot, the bumper spot, my goodness, one of the best in the league. He had so many goals like that for St. Louis down the stretch. So you have to put Bolduc on the second power play. And I like that idea, Jesse. What do you think of Dobson, Demidov, Newhook, Gallagher, Bolduc? I mean, that's a super skilled second power play. Like, Demidov to Bolduc could feed families. That's crazy.
It is for sure. And I really like it a lot. The question remains is like, who's going to get that PP1 spot going out? Like, there's going to be a competition, and like they'll say that they don't want it, like Patrick Laine, Cole Caufield. They're they're pro athletes. Results matter. Both of them want to start on the PP1. Like, who is going to get it? For me, it doesn't make sense to have both Laine and Caufield on the PP. You're just kind of robbing one of those units of like a real shooting threat.
Yeah.
But we're talking about like a quality power play. Like, this is their specialty. Right. So I think just how we can have that after two units, again, space that out a little bit going forward. I just think it's going to be unreal. Like, maybe is there a nuclear option where sometimes you're late in a game and you want to have Laine and Cole Caufield out there? Yeah. When it's really the crunch time, put your 5 best players out there. And the type of combinations that we have of what that would potentially be: Caufield, Suzuki, Laine, Demidov, and then I'm probably getting Hudson out there as the defenseman. It's like, that's a good nuclear option to go to if you really have to.
I mean, if we're talking empty net this year, I'm just trying to think of what that lineup's going to look like. Is it Suzuki, Slav, Caufield? What? I don't even know. Like Dobson, Hudson, because you almost want 2 defensemen, right? So you probably go Dobson, Hudson, Suzuki, Slav, Caufield, Demidov, or is it Laine? And then it's like, anyway, it gets a little confusing. It's very, very interesting, but yeah, I mean, there's so many different amazing threats. We got to go through these super chats because you guys have been supporting us like crazy today. Seriously, it is so sincerely appreciated. Snow in HD coming in with a $5 donation saying the first power play still needs Slav as a power forward for the board battles and corner battles. And you know what? I think that is a very good take, because as much as I agree, Jesse, I want to see him in that shooting threat, I feel like sometimes it's easy for myself, at least, to forget how important Slaf was in keeping possession for this team and generating extra time, because not much is more valuable in the power play if you don't score a goal than time in the offensive zone. Wear out the defense. Slaf is one of our best on the team, maybe the best at doing that in the offensive zone. So I like that take a lot from Snowing HD. It's a very educated take, and you know what, I could see them wanting to really keep Slaf out there specifically for that reason. If, you know, I also see a world where that ends up kind of not being a problem with all these guys who are so good at puck control, but like Slaf is so good for that role that, you know, it wouldn't surprise me if they really wanted to keep him there.
And that's what's so nice about our boy Slaf. Again, like, he has a skill set that doesn't get overridden by too many other Habs players, which is so nice, and again shows his importance, why we drafted him at first overall. I think if we had to Shane, right, like, you have a bunch of other players where it's overlapping, but Slafkovsky, he's got his own unique skill set, and objectively it's true. Like, his puck retrieving ability is a big reason of why that first line works in the way it does. He works the same idea on the power play, obviously rings true. That being said, it's a very interesting conversation, which I'm sure we're going to be revisiting here, as well as other Montreal media as the season really approaches and during it, Josh. It'll be a huge talking point because Demidov, in terms of pure skill and just dynamic offensive ability, of course, should be on that first, you know, power play unit if we're just looking at your most offensively gifted players. Like, you could, like, Ivan Demidov's the definition. He should probably be the first player on your power play. That being said, it's like you can't have too many guys playing that same role. You do need the puck retrieval. You do need guys complementing each other in different ways. So Slaf is important, but at the same time, the game-breaking skill of Demidov, you see him in basically like in a half court, to take it for hockey, like, you know, basically in the offensive zone. Like, this guy is just so good in the set piece, and basically when it comes to the power play here. So it's going to be very interesting. I think you're going to want to get some different looks, some different players to really kind of test it out and experiment what these different iterations really look like.
And you know what? Here's another iteration I got for you, right? Because in the iterations, would shock me if we didn't see a ton of movement with these power plays throughout games. But another iteration coming in from Ethan Mods with a $10 donation. Ethan, one of our moderators here, one of our longest time supporters. Again, like Jesse said, just a great guy. Ethan saying, hot take PP2. It's very similar to the last one proposed. But instead of Gallagher, you have Kirby, Dach. You have Dobson, Demidov, Bolduc, Newhook, and if healthy, Dach. And that's one of these things, Jesse, like, Dach has shown the dude he was on our PP1 for a while. Like, it's true. This guy was out there. I feel like, was he on the PP1 last year? As soon as last year? I think he was before Laine was in, right? Like, I could be wrong, but I think so. And so it's like, this is another guy that has had lots of good power play prowess. And I don't think it's crazy to say that Kirby Dach is one of these underrated guys that could get some power play time. But again, there's so many guys, like, the question arises, like, who gets cut for that? Which is why I think we will see some different iterations based on practice, based on matchups.
Yeah, no, that's exactly it. But he is a player, honestly, that I find just fits that role just in so many ways so well. So I think, definitely a great call by Ethan here going forward. We're going to need to definitely try a couple different things here going forward to see what really sticks. It's hard to kind of knock against, though, again, like when we see like Laine and Demidov. I could very much I could see Laine, if whatever power play unit he's on, Demidov also being, whether that's the first one or the second one, because of a lot of that chemistry, we see them working on the one-timers, a lot of that playmaking right now. I was the one duo that I did not see coming, Josh, that I did not know that we really needed, but that I'm just totally here for. We're going to start queuing the Laine and the Demidov bromance animations real soon here.
Absolutely. And they're both in the thumbnail. Let me make sure I had the wrong thumbnail for last week's stream. Just want to make sure I have the right one today. Yeah, I do. So that was crazy. For those of you coming into last week's stream, sorry about that. But hey, we fixed it immediately after the stream was over. But they're both in the thumbnail today, like they've been a few different times. Like Laine Demidov is going to be one of these incredible things. So great message there as well. But we got to get to some more. Ethan again coming in and saying, oh my gosh, another $5. Ethan, thank you so much. I also heard on another channel today that someone who knows Michael Hage said that he's bulked up to over 200 pounds this summer. Hey, 200 pounds, that's a big size. And bulking up was one of the things we wanted to see from Hage, Jesse. He had the skill. He got the smooth skating. His speed is something that maybe we wanted to see improve a little bit. But hey, I don't mind the weight either. If this dude can win puck battles and drive to the net like crazy, he's already shown a lot of skill at getting to the net, finishing around the net. We saw it at the summer showcase. We saw it throughout all of last year at Michigan, especially as the season went on. He had a couple of nice highlight reel goals. Bulking up to 200 pounds, that's what you call NHL size, Jesse. That's Owen Beck size, baby. But Hage got the extra skill to boot.
For sure. He's just working on those neck muscles next. But yeah, Hage is old school. And what I really like about this player is you got the skill, but when you can kind of pair that with that toughness, a little bit of that chirping, like we saw, like Josh, I love it. I like seeing that competitive element from the player, like knowing, okay, like Michael Hage, he's not going to be like some feather type player coming up, playing some soft, super just skilled hockey. No, this guy plays 200-foot game, contributes defensively, is aware just on all elements of the ice. So really just because sometimes, when you're drafted first round and maybe more offensive guys, you're not just, okay, do they have that full toolkit for real though? But again, really making Canada proud, I think, of really being that prototypical type of player, right? Where he's got that skill, but also bringing his lunch pail to work type of mentality as well, which is making me a big, kind of a bigger fan of Hage than I even was before.
Yeah, 100%. Like a huge fan of Hage, and we'll see him at the World Juniors this year, which I'm super, super excited about. And a very, very young Michigan team. Sometimes when you get a young hockey team, you wonder about the personalities in the locker room, managing that, but that's not our job. It's going to be a very interesting season. And one more super chat here about the power play from RM Real Estate Productions, who have been a long time supporter, especially of these streams. Great to see you back here. I like this one, Jesse. Bring Subban back from retirement for PP2. And let me just say, we're building PK Subban in the aggregate because we have number 76, Zach Bolduc, that I think is a guarantee to be on PP2. And then we have a right-handed defenseman with incredible offensive upside in Noah Dobson. You put those guys together, you get PK Subban. You get super PK Subban if you add Bolduc and Dobson. So, you know what? Building him in the aggregate's fine for me. But yeah, I do miss those Subban Markov power play days. They were great. But hey, I'm saying this Habs power play this year is definitely not bad.
I could just picture it in my mind's eye still all the same. Like Subban stick up, just like waiting for it. It's like, pass it to me, boys. You know, just ready to go, just ready to rip it. We love it. We're still going to represent, fan of the show, PK Subban for sure. We're always going to keep his memory real close to heart.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine getting PK on this show? Oh, PK, if you're watching, thank you so much for that super chat. What a great idea. Love that. And, we got another super chat. They're not stopping today, Jesse. The fans, oh my gosh, guys, thank you so much for showing up for us here today. Mark Cantal coming in again, an incredible supporter. Bold prediction, Slavzilla gets 65 to 70 points. Any thoughts, especially on the PP1? And I think this will be a nice one to close off our power play talk, because we've kind of said, like you said, Jesse, Slav, he's important no matter where he is. There's no doubt about that. But in terms of the power play, he's not that guy that is getting all those opportunities. He plays his role and he does it very well. The amount of board battles he's won into a crazy blind pass or a rocket pass right to where you want it, he does that a lot and he's amazing at that. 65 to 70 points I think is definitely attainable. I'd like to see him get 60 to 65, but if he can get 65 to 70, Jesse, while winning the board battles like he does and being physical, there's not many guys in the league I would rather have than him on especially on a skilled line with guys like Suzuki and Caufield, because if he can get that 65 to 70 points as a strong power forward who wins almost every board battle, how many players can do that in the league, right? At that point, we're talking an elite level talent, which I think is still realistic too. 65, 70, I'd maybe say 60 to 65, but 70 I wouldn't say it's completely out of the question. I like it.
And it's really hard to imagine Slav not having a breakthrough year of really building upon what he's done, given that ground of work, knowing what we already knew about him, that he was a bigger guy and it was going to take some time to develop. And he kind of stayed around that 50-point range. And I think it's normal where he kind of plateaued a little bit. Then we're going to see maybe a big kind of leap up. And then he might kind of stay at that point again before maybe taking that next leap up into his final form, coming into really his prime at that point. I think it's just normal as he's kind of growing. Obviously, his ceiling as well is definitely going to go along with it, where he has a lot of tools, but he's been figuring out how do I kind of take advantage of my skill sets that I have. And I feel like he's really last year identified exactly what he needed to do to be successful. And this is the PSA for Slav right now, for Kirby, right? It's that the physical play is the key to their game. If we start off the first game of this year and we see Slav being involved, getting on the boards, laying the body, and make no mistake about it, the goals, everything else will come because he now knows his recipe. I don't think that's lost on him. So there's going to be a big difference now of Slav now realizing who he is. Getting into that, leaning into that right away is really going to be the difference between him starting on time versus being secondhand Slav. I think he knows now. I think it's normal, actually, totally normal. It takes some time to figure out what type of player you are, how you're going to use those skills. He's at that point in his development now where he's really down to double down on that. And I think that's going to have some huge effects for the Habs here.
Yeah, first half Slav is going to happen, right? And after that playoffs, I know we say it a lot, but just being in those playoffs is going to make a huge difference to how most of this team is going to approach this season. And I can't wait to see it. But unbelievable thoughts. Thank you again, Malk. Thank you to all the chatters. And we got Mark Oren here as well. Yeah, I walked through the valley of the Montreal Canadiens, PP1 and 2. I shall fear from my goaltender save percentage. And could not have said it better. It's poetry. Unbelievable, Mark. Thank you so much. Let's move on to. I love Mark Orr's chat. Mark Orr is such an amazing person to be able to know and talk to. Shout out to you, Mark. Yeah. Let's get into the big thing today, Jesse. It turns out power play was a very popular subject today, and I love that too. But I want to talk about Zharovsky because we've been teasing this all show long. Le tout nouvel espoir du CH. Someone asked for a French segment earlier. I'll read this whole tweet in French. Le tout nouvel espoir du CH, Alexander Zharovsky, dispute présentement son premier match pré-saison de la saison 2025-26 dans la KHL. Aujourd'hui, il évolue au centre du troisième trio. Third line center Alexander Zharovsky in his first preseason game today. And, we can run through the stats. There was the Twitter page for who was posting a lot of these Zharovsky highlights is linked in the description as well. If you want to go give them a follow, check them out. But this is where we got this clip here. A nice little move. It's preseason, but you can see the skill. He loves that spin back towards the blue line. But hey, it's a nice little assist in his first game. Third line center, Jesse. And this is not something I necessarily saw coming. I know it's the full KHL team, but not everyone's playing. There's a couple caveats to this, but I love that he's playing some center and he looked decent doing it, picking up a point. I know we're years away from the idea of Alexander Zharovsky coming over to the NHL. Like, who knows? But his team wants to put him in that position. Tolpar Ufa, they want to put him in a position to come to the NHL. They've been talking about it, and I'm excited for it. And if he's getting 3C minutes in the preseason, like, learn to play that bottom six game. He's not going to get the Demidov treatment where he's getting first, second line. To be fair, Rottenberg didn't really do that the whole season either. But, he's not going to get that incredible treatment. I still think getting this kind of opportunity is great. And if he's playing some center, man, like, jeez, like I said, like the title says, man, it's just getting better. I love this pick so much.
For sure, because Zharovsky's a skilled guy, and he's playing center. You're allowing him to take advantage the most of what he does best. And right away, in one of his first games in the preseason, Alexander Zharovsky's leaning into what allowed him to be one of the best players in the MHL last year, which is controlled zone exits, but also holding on to the puck. Like, this guy just loves carrying the puck. He likes to have his puck on the stick when it matters. Like, this was a game-tying goal that he helped set up, and he was really the one taking the puck, being that first option in the D zone, taking it up and really making it happen here. So this is nice to see early on in his development when, like, a role in the KHL, it's not guaranteed by a long shot, even for a guy that was drafted here in the NHL fairly highly, he's really going to need to work to get it. And having a great outing like this early on is just so important for his development. We saw Volokin have a good start. His kind of KHL debut. Zharovsky's doing the same thing. Again, very important to get in the good graces of the coaches early on. But again, showing that skill, and I just love him. Guys that want the puck, that want to hold on to it, like Hudson, like Demidov. I don't want to jump there right away with Zharovsky, considering the talent of Hudson and Demidov there. But like, Zharovsky has a huge ceiling. That's the thing with him. Like his floor is pretty high. His ceiling is huge. Like, this is a huge potential guy where if he can't pay off, a lot of people thought this is somebody that should have been a first round talent. We're probably going to be, buckling now because we're going to be breaking down. I don't think he's done, Josh. I think he's going to be doing amazing things this year. I just can't wait to see how the creativity of this guy and what he's going to get up to next.
Yeah, 100%. And, you mentioned the high ceiling, but also, like, not that low a floor. I feel like some people view this as a boomer bust pick. And I can understand that because these high skill picks that are still a bit raw and definitely still need to develop a little bit, but they have all the skill in the world. There is inherently a risk with that. And you see some of those guys fade out of the NHL because they were so skilled against lesser competition. But as soon as they get to that higher level of competition, they can't quite adjust at the same time. But I also want to just point out the fact that as an 18-year-old, this dude played 7 games for Tolpar Ufa in the Salavat Ulayev Ufa in the KHL. Like, he played 7 games, and the coach was like, well, it wasn't really planned, but he kind of forced my hand. He was so good. And now we're in the preseason for the KHL. Again, is he 19 now? I think he might still be 18. And he's 18. Just 18 years old, freshly drafted, and he's getting looks as your third-line center, even though a lot of people saw him as a winger at the next level in the preseason. So, like, he's going to play as an 18-year-old in the KHL to start the season, coming off a nice playoff run with them, where, again, as an 18-year-old, got a point in 7 games, was only a -1. Like, there's a world where this dude gets, like, a full season in the KHL, and I feel like, you're talking floor. If this dude's a good, solid KHL player for a long time, I know in terms of NHL draft picks, that's not what you want to talk about. You want them to come over to the NHL. But if he's like that type of level, you will absolutely thrive in the NHL. So again, will he be that, when you have that high skill, you thrive better with better line mates. So again, that top 6 role or a really skilled third line role can work better. So you want him to develop those other aspects of this game. But Jesse, that's what this year is for. That's what development is for. And no, he's not ready to come over to the NHL right now. He would not make the team this year. That's just what it is. He's young. But that's what development is for. Just drafted, 18 years old. Let's take a look again in 2-3 years, because the skill level, pure skill on this guy was, by a lot of analysts, a lot of scouts, they said it was one of the highest in this past draft. It's just a matter of putting his complete game together. And again, like you said, I think his ceiling is really, really high. Is it like NHL superstar high? I think that might be pushing it a bit far, but like for sure, a solid NHLer that makes an impact on your team is absolutely within the realm of his ceiling.
And that's why it's so important that he's getting a good audition, because we want him to play in the KHL with better level like teammates as well, not only against the competition, but better line mates, because that's maybe one of the knock against him in the MHL. It's like just any player that's more skilled, they sometimes don't rely on their teammates as much. So him having a good showcase here in the KHL, it's just going to be so much better for his development to really know, not only for him on the ice, but how to work with his teammates. Obviously coming to Montreal, where there's going to be a lot of skilled players, That's going to be really important for him going forward. If we look, though, by all accounts, this guy is looking like an NHLer for me. Here's the reasons why, Josh. I just think like he's ahead of schedule. He was 11th in the scoring last year in the MHL. For a large part of that year, though, he was a 17-year-old playing against, a lot of 18, 19-year-olds plus. So he was putting up some really good numbers being pretty young. Not Demidov numbers, but point per game, all the same. And I think that that's a really huge takeaway. He now goes to the next level, and now he's starting to play above his age group once again, relatively speaking. Like, this is just really showing, okay, you bring him to a new level of competition. He comes up, and not only is he's not just a passenger in the game, he's helping to set up your game-tying goals you're going for, even early on into the season. So this is one of the best things that you could really realistically ask for in the development from Zharovsky of what we would want to see going forward. Again, his, puck on the biscuit with the biscuit when it really matters, making stuff happen is really what I want to see. And again, it does remind me of Demidov. It's the same way. Like, you can tell it's like they want the puck when it matters. They want to do something because they know they have the skill to make it happen. And again, he's just following through on that right now.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. Again, this year is going to tell us a lot about his development. Like, again, if he can play a full year in the KHL, that alone would be like, oh boy, because his contract is not that long, and they want to, make room for him to come over. Because if you can get him, if he's like, again, this is maybe a bit of a long shot, but if he's NHL caliber in like 2 years, his contract ends, he comes over on a rookie scale deal, and you're like, whoa, my gosh, like before Demidov's even extended, you have Zharovsky on a rookie scale. Anyway, this kind of stuff is maybe a pipe dream, but you're right. This year is a great year to just be happy with what he's doing, check in on his development, see how he's progressing, because he's going to mean a lot to this team in the future. Excuse me. All right, I want to take a look through the chat. We got a lot of people coming in. We got a couple more super chats here. Another one from Caroline Chasson, who was talking earlier about how we absolutely needed to talk about Zharovsky and said, I'm dreaming him and Hage and Demidov together. Wow, good luck stopping that line. I mean, again, this is the thing, Jesse. So many young guys with so much potential, and I absolutely love it. Thank you so much, Caroline. And we also got Dolphin82 with $2 saying, what do you think? We're kind of shifting the focus here from the high skill to a grind and fourth line. What do you think of a fourth line of double Xhekaj and Tyler Thorpe? Whoa, you know what? First off, I love the idea of having Zharovsky, Hage, and Demidov together from Caroline, but I like almost the antithesis of that with like double Xhekaj and Thorpe. Now, I think I've given my thoughts on Arber being a forward. I don't see it happening just because we already have Florian, who has played a lot of his time as a forward, who had 24 goals in the AHL. I think if you move Arber to forward, it's just to try and force him into the lineup, and I don't love that idea. But you know what, Jesse? I don't mind the idea of like Florian and Thorpe and someone else, Papanicus. We got so many big guys, and I really like the super skilled contrasted with the super big and scary.
For sure. And you love your boy Thorpe too, who can shoot it as well. Prospect to keep an eye on. Yeah, and I love Florian Xhekaj. I like that we're just bringing up this name right now, Dolphin, because like when we're talking about the fourth line, his name has to enter the chat somewhere in all of this. I think if we're just talking about like exciting elements, like things to get hyped up for the season, like Florian potentially cracking the lineup, like let's be real here. Like it's going to happen at some point. It's going to be totally glorious when it happens. I can't wait for it. Arber Xhekaj, I want that guy as like the bulldog in front of the net, just protected, especially with Savard gone. Like who else is like being territorial like that in front of the net, protecting? Like I only see Xhekaj.
Give him that Joel Edmundson role.
Yeah, like I love that. You really need that, especially in the playoffs. It's super important. I love that Arber has his role really kind of staked out for him here going forward. But yeah, no, we're going to see Florian at some point in time. And once he gets that spot right, like he's just going to hold on for it for dear life. And like, good luck trying to pry that spot from him at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, dude, he's going to want to hold on to whatever chance he gets. Because again,
mitts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, well, hey, yeah, he's grip strength. I don't even want to think about it. But like, yeah, like we need those guys. We absolutely need those guys. And yeah, with Savard gone, it's a great point. You absolutely need that. So great chat. Thank you so much. Another super chat coming in from Ethan Mods. Ethan showing up. Oh, so generous. Thank you so much. Future lines. All right, here we go. We're going to run through these pretty quick. Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky. I think we can agree that's cool. Yeah, fine. Zharovsky, Hage, Demidov. Look, that's like if everything pans out ceiling. But if that happens, if those guys all hit their ceiling, I could see it. Yeah. Yep.
Couple center options there for sure.
Oh, I like that too. Yeah, actually, because Hage and Zharovsky playing. I like that. Laine, Evans, Newhook. That one's a bit of a weirder one. I could see it. I wonder. I guess like you're just saying, Laine's maybe still top power play, but like, where do you put him? Right? If Zharovsky's that good, I might even have Laine with Demidov and Zharovsky on that third line. But like I don't mind it if Zharovsky proves he's good enough in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's it. Kind of interchangeable. It's the skilled guy that can put the puck in the back of the net. Yeah, I hear that.
Hear that? And then Beck, Florian, and Thorpe on the last one. I don't know why I played that. I played that. Well, sorry, I played that because Ethan also sent in $10 to correct it and say Bolduc in there somewhere too. Ethan, you could have just said that in the chat, but thank you so much. Like we appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. So Bolduc, maybe Bolduc on that third line, maybe Laine Newhook Bolduc, and then like Florian Evans Thorpe, or maybe Evans Beck and Florian, something like that. Jeez, I mean, like again, if these guys hit their ceiling, that's so scary to look at if you're another team.
It is, because you just got a little bit of everything. I love that toughness on the fourth line too, where Florian Evans and Thorpe. It's really what you kind of want from that fourth line, again, having some scoring elements just throughout. But again, like I said, I think Zharovsky is an NHLer. Like Carolyn, Ethan, like you're totally right at making projections. Like, good world, this guy's going to be in the Habs lineup. Again, 6'1", 163, needs to put on a little bit of muscle. We've seen lots of guys do the exact same thing. He is really not so far off base there whatsoever. Like with that skill that he has, again, like we traded 2 first-rounders, but the fact we were still able to get a first-round talent in Zharovsky while still getting Dobson. Again, we just have to tip our hat to Kent Hughes once again, because it's just, how do you make that happen? We're still drive the second round, but we feel like we're getting a Hage level almost talent in Zharovsky, even when we're not picking in the first round, let alone our blessing we're getting with Hudson and just other guys fall into us. Just shows how, like, it seems almost like serendipity and destiny right now with what's happening for the Montreal Canadiens.
A lot of this seems like destiny. And I mean, when you think about it, really, since we were going to pick him anyway, we traded like the 16th overall pick and a second rounder and Emil Heineman for Noah Dobson at 8 years, right? So it's kind of crazy when you look at it that way. Really, really nuts. Great point as well. Thank you, Ethan, as always. Ethan said Bolduc instead of Laine on the third line. So maybe Laine's gone in this world. Maybe we don't extend him. And I think that makes a ton of sense too. Regardless, still scary. Matt Cantal coming in again with $10. Thank you so much, Matt. Unbelievable support today. We need Arber Xhekaj on D. Remember the grind of the playoffs. And that's something you were saying, Jesse, that front of the net. I think back to that Cup Finals run, and that's why I brought up Joel Edmundson. That dude was injuring guys. He was cross-checking them in the kidneys. You might not be able to get away with it as much today, but when you had Edmundson and Weber in front of your own net, teams just didn't want to go in there. And even Savard, like, teams did, like, in recent years, you don't want to go in there when you know you're going to get hit. And when you had a guy like Edmundson, and I feel like Xhekaj could do the same thing, you do it so much that like the ref can't call it every time. It's unfortunate, but it's the way it is. Take advantage of it. If you're cross-checking a dude in the back, knocking him down, the ref calls it once. You do it again, are they going to call it every single time? In the world of the NHL, it doesn't happen. So having someone like that scares other teams, like Xhekaj hasn't quite gotten, like, he scares players. He does, like, kind of change. They don't really want to go around him. They know they'll get lit up, but he's got that fighting threat and stuff. If he can get that front of the net bully game down a bit more, Jesse, he has it a bit for sure. I'm not saying he doesn't, but that could be one of those keys that's just like, dang, like, that actually does change how other teams play in the net front.
Yeah, and again, in that series, they were calling it like the triumvirate at the time with Weber and Edmundson and the other big guys that they had. Like, that type of hockey can work really well under the right circumstances. And that's what's nice about this decor is, like, you got guys like Hudson, Dobson, they're going to do great in the regular season. I still think Hudson, he's like one of those rare breeds where he'll still just find a way to succeed in the playoffs. But then you have those bigger guys, Guhle, who can be pretty tough, Reinbacher, who he's got some underrated dog in him in terms of compete. You should see him in Laval. He was kind of hacking away at some guys. Like, he's got a little bit of that in him, which I find really impressive. And at 6'4", this decor really needs to kind of match up that skill, that offense, that defense all together there. So I think there's a couple guys, obviously Strubal's a physical specimen, that can really bring that to the table. But like the fact that we can have that balance of all of that, for me, and we haven't still found that perfect sweet spot between offense and defense. I think we still will, and that might be intentional given some moves that are upcoming here. Once we really find that sweet spot, though, of like, okay, our offensive guys, our defensive guys, and everybody knows their role and what they need to do, and they're all doing their jobs better because the roles are so clearly defined going forward. I think just really gives this team the balance that they need to play any type of hockey you really want to play.
And I like that final point about clearly defined roles, because I think having so many young guys, and again, that just plays off of how we've done such a good job of locking up guys long term. And we've been saying this for the last 2 years, man. Like on the channel, when we see this Caufield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky, we're like, getting that chemistry now is going to pay off a ton down the road. Like they say, the best time to invest is yesterday. The second best time is today, because compound interest. The more time you're playing together, the better you're going to know each other's instincts, and the harder it's going to be for other teams to predict what you're going to do. And so having everyone have their defined roles while they're still young, while we're still kind of, I mean, we're kind of out of the rebuild now, but we're in our early stages of starting to try and really contend every year. It's going to matter, and it's going to make a big difference. So really, really great thoughts from everyone in here. So many chats, we can't get to all of them. Sorry we can't, but some great stuff. We got Caroline saying Arber needs to play better. I'm sorry. I can't disagree with you, but I think he is gonna force management's hand, because that's just what Arber and the Xhekaj just do. Matt can tell it's mental. If the player has his mindset on being physical, he will. CLJ Mooney. Yeah, I love that. I love that reference. Dude is bodying big Swedish guys. And then Ethan saying, I think we'll eventually get another strong, physical, smart defenseman on the third pair instead of Carrier. Eventually, I don't think there's any rush for that. We'll have to see how the decor works this year, because I think Dobson will be more physical than anyone thinks. He doesn't lay the body a ton, but he blocks a lot of shots, and he can be annoying to play against. So also, Martin Breton saying, hi guys, sorry I'm late. God bless you guys. God bless you too, Martin. Thank you for showing up.
God bless you.
Yeah, unreal stuff, Jesse. We went maybe a little overtime today, but the fans, you guys, showing us so much love today. This is such a fun stream. We had so many talks about what's going to go on next year, and I cannot wait. I feel like every time we stream, I get this, like, I never lose that fire, but every time we talk about it with fans, I feel like I get it like bubbling up in my chest when I'm like, oh my god, what's Slaf going to do? I see this clip of Ivan Demidov, and I'm like, well, maybe not this one because he doesn't score, but this second one here, when he does score, he just comes in from the right side, cuts back, and then shoots it short side. And then this one here, coming out in front of the net, sniping it. Like, he's going to do that in the game, and the Bell Center is going to go nuts. And just feeling that fix you Coldplay playing, like Bull Duke said, that's going to remind him when he's home. I can't wait, man. This is going to be an unreal year.
It is. There's honestly so much to be excited about. And that's why we need these chats sometimes. Like, there's so much good things going on. It's easy to forget, like, oh, what about this? And like, if Slaf really kind of comes into his own, which I think is a totally fair, like, realization for this year. Like, Demidov, we're seeing increased versions of Hudson and Demidov. I think it's fair to throw Slaf into that, but we're really just coming to our own. Like, we have not even seen the best of Nick Suzuki yet. Cole Caufield, like, we criminally forget about Cole Caufield. We need to, like, I feel like we need to apologize to the man for how much we forget about him, for how much excitement, like, he actually brings this team of what he does every night in terms of game-winning goals. We just have so much excitement that it's almost like we just take for a given. Yeah, like, Cole's going to do Cole. He's just going to be dynamic, lights out whenever this team needs something. He's just going to be Johnny on the spot. But yeah, no, absolutely. There's just so much to really be excited about. This was a fun one. And I love these episodes because it kind of gives everybody an opportunity, like, get your thoughts out there into the ether. Like, the best way for that happen in real life next year for the Montreal Canadiens is you saying it, getting it out there, share it with others, build that buzz, get that propaganda going, right? Because next year it's not set, those power play units, who's playing where they're going forward, right? So obviously just so much fun to share. Steel sharpens steel here. We all grow sharper from sharing our thoughts here together, you know, so we just really appreciate the support.
Steel sharpens steel also sounds like a good law firm. Listen, this was an unreal stream. Yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. There's going to be so many more streams just like this as we're heading towards the season every Monday, guys. Don't forget, we're here every single Monday, and I know you guys show up. We see so many familiar names every single time. We got one final thing to ask for. Hey, look, this may be a tough one actually, but you guys have been hitting like goals like crazy. We're 34 likes away from 150, and you know how much we love to hit 150 in these streams. So look, just go down, double check, see if you've clicked the like button. If you haven't, click it once. It's all you need. The little thumbs up pops up. It looks good. It's easy. It's satisfying, and it helps us out a ton. Yeah, this was amazing, Jesse. Any final words? I could not be more pumped for this upcoming season.
No, this is just so much fun. Of course, thank you to the fans for just making this a total ball, one of the highlights of our week here. If you feel like you got 1% of value out of this live here today, hit that subscribe button. We got some big goals, and you know, we really would appreciate, you know, having you along with the ride with us so we can keep this momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, as big as we are now, as many fans as we have now, we have even bigger things on the horizon. You're still in on the ground floor. Just wait. We're not going anywhere. Thank you all for tuning into this live episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, like we said, leave a like, comment, subscribe. Tune into the next show every single day, all off season long. Dog days, August, it doesn't matter. We're coming at you with videos about all the latest news. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host Jesse Poirier. We hope you enjoyed, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.